Take it away.
Hey, good afternoon. This is Michael Hung with Streams. And
Streams?
yes, with Streams. Is that what it is? Lucidworks Streams.
Yeah, Lucid Lab Streams.
Lucid Lab Streams.
Streams, yeah, Lucid Lab Streams. Whatever we're called.
Whatever we're called.
Yeah.
We'll get it there someday.
Episode 5, I'm Cord Campbell. I hope you all are doing well today. I think we lost week before last, we lost the episode. I mean, it's there, but it sounds like crap.
It'll be one of the retrospectives, like in the montage at the end of the year.
Totally. It was funny because I was looking at it, and I told you the story earlier, but I'll repeat it now for posterity.
Right.
Is that I watched it, and then we were looking opposite directions, talking to each other. Right. So we've set up the camera to do this little thing where it's not perfectly set up, but it's pretty close. There's some weirdness going on here, but anyway, if we look at each other, we're facing each other. Yeah, it'll work.
We weren't angry at each other.
Right.
It was just the camera angle.
Right. So let's do a Hacker News rant.
Okay.
I am just, I don't know. I just love ranting about Hacker News. I'll cut over to you.
Okay, let me expand the screen. I mean, we have plenty of topics to choose from, but I think that the FCC net neutrality. So the FCC is going to announces the plan to repeal the net neutrality that was passed during the Obama administration. It's pretty much going to just allow businesses to do whatever they want.
Yeah.
So that might. So, what are your? Do you have strong opinions on this one way or the other? Like.
Yeah. I kind of do. I mean. I don't know that. So this guy's, what's his name, Ajit, right?
Yeah.
Like I mean, it seems like he's a buddy of Trump.
Right.
Trump's, right? So, I mean, I don't know. Like I hate to get on the. It seems like everybody's talking about. Like we know Trump doesn't tell the truth.
Right.
I mean, it's interesting to sort of have to deal with that finally, is that we know that there are people in the world that are not trustworthy.
Right.
And usually we have sort of like baked into our culture ways of sort of dealing with it, right? But now it's sort of hitting us, full frontal, if you will, by being there. And so like my general reaction is this guy, I don't know this guy. This guy was put in there by Trump.
Right.
And they're repealing something that somebody else passed that they thought was a good thing to pass.
Right.
And I don't know whether it was or not. It seems like it's a good thing. It seems like it's a good idea. I don't know enough about the laws that we passed. I do know what net neutrality is.
Right.
But it seems like this law that we passed was designed to sort of address this new problem that we've got, which is sort of allowing people to communicate freely, in a free market.
Right.
And now this guy, who I don't know, elected by a guy who's a known liar and also president of the United States, I don't know whether to trust them or not.
If they're going to be doing the right thing towards the consumer, or is it all going to be geared towards what the business need is?
Yeah, I mean... I don't even trust their motives of why. Like, do they even know why they're getting rid of it? I guess that would be the thing for me is, like, Trump seems to have like this thing for, like knocking down stuff Obama set up.
Right, like it doesn't matter what.
Right, and Obama was in there for 8 years, so I mean, it wasn't just Obama that set up net neutrality. There was a bunch of companies that were involved in worrying about net neutrality.
Right.
So. I mean, I feel like maybe Trump's just going after stuff that Obama did just because that's all he knows.
Right.
And it's just this simple mentality.
Right.
In which case, I sort of look at it as, well, okay, so they're removing a law that somebody else put in place. Do we know that the law has actually done anything good?
Right.
I'm just playing the devil's advocate here. It sounds like we're going to lose it.
Of course.
Right? So, I mean, I hate to say it's a horrible thing. I mean, it sounds like a horrible thing probably because it is.
Right.
But I mean, if we were to say, is there any benefit? Well, there's less laws, but that doesn't mean that this is a good thing necessarily.
Because I think they seem to just be wanting to tear down any sort of regulation that hamper in particular those by the last administration, but just tearing down any regulation that doesn't make sense. I didn't see it on Hacker News because it's not really a technical discussion, but there was also just the past day he decided to block some regulations against bringing elephant tusks. But there's enough outcry that I think he took second notice. I just don't think that people really understand the whole concept of what the net neutrality is and how it could affect them. And they were like, I don't think.
I think that's
because issues. When you get sort of these complex issues, and it's not to say that they're, not paying attention or not intellectually competent enough to grasp it, but it's just an issue that's just not always on their radar. So it's hard for them to keep track of.
I always try to think about that topic where there's this bandwidth people have. As like whenever the iPhone first came out, there weren't smartphones really. Right. I mean, you had some very simple smartphones, right? But the iPhone came out, and it was before there were even apps. And I stood in line and got one. And now I own an Android, and so I'm that commercial, right? But I remember thinking when the apps came out, how fast the screens filled up on the first iPhone, right? And like there wasn't really, I don't think there was clustering of. So you just had screen after screen. If you installed a bunch of stuff, and at some point you just run out of time. The average human doesn't have an infinite amount of time to do things. Right. So I mean, you got holidays coming up.
I would say no human has an infinite.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. You don't have time to think about it. It's not, and then it's complicated. So you kind of look at it and you're like, I don't know. Hopefully somebody will do the right thing.
Right. Exactly. And that's the problem because you're hoping someone is going to do the right thing, but being a human, that doesn't always work out that way.
I was thinking that probably the problem that people should think about the most with this is that they may only have one ISP.
Right.
So if the ISP decides to do the wrong thing, and for whatever reason, the rationale, they're saving on bandwidth or, whatever, they're bundling something, they see they can make a little bit more money by offering, quality services. You kind of get the situation where the assumption is either the ISP can filter the traffic or not. And they could selectively filter it so they could block your traffic or they could allow through other people's traffic, which would be basically at a faster speed, which is basically blocking your traffic.
Right.
Even though the rule may not be specific for your IP, it would be saying if you're not in this whitelist of IPs, then we're not going to block you, but you're going to be at this rate with everyone else, and then these other people are at the top. And well, does that sound like anything different than civilization all throughout man's history? No. Right. It's like take some people at the top and give them elevated privileges, and I mean, I think that's really what we're talking about.
Right. I mean, for my data plan, it's unlimited, and I used to get throttled all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But I bought
unlimited.
I bought unlimited data, but now you're just like, okay, now you're gonna start throttling me because I go over some arbitrary limit that you set. That's not,
I feel like there's enough egress points into the internet that as long as you have access to the egress points, you're probably okay.
Yeah.
But we already have issues with people in China that they don't have net neutrality.
Right.
I mean, in the United States, what is our net neutrality going to look like here, or lack of it? Right? It's going to look different than China's. We would assume the government's not going to filter websites.
Right.
Probably. Right. It's just going to be capitalism in play. So it's about people, like competing for resources. But then there's also the free market economy to think about. And that was part of the whole idea behind net neutrality was if we pass these laws, there would be some sort of free market created by saying these are the things that are off the table. But then I feel like, so we're essentially saying to somebody like Comcast that that you've got this. You have a resource that I'm using, so you have a pipe, and I'm telling you through a law of a government in a district or a region that I happen to live in and buy things from you, and you operate within, that you can't take my traffic and shape it
right
based on judgment of me or someone else. Right? That's what I'm really saying.
Right.
And it seems like that's reasonable, but then, I mean, other companies are not really, they are restricted in that as far as, like we have labor laws, for example, that says, you can't discriminate on somebody when you employ them, or you can't discriminate on somebody when you serve them at McDonald's, or you, right. So it seems like as long as they're doing it just to try to make more money with the pipe that they are providing you, it seems sort of fair. I'm trying to argue.
Yeah,
I'm trying to argue the other side of it.
I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. I guess I mean, when we're so limited in who our choices are for providers, like you were saying, like
if you've got one,
it's either you're doing this cable company or this telephone company, and in some cases, depending on where you are, it's going to be one or the other. Well, you can probably get a cable company or a telephone company, not to name any specifics, but it's just so hard for like in San Francisco there are these small ISPs that are starting to sprout up, but it's if you don't know about them, then you're primarily left with two choices. And one is just as bad as the other. And potentially with anything with the net neutrality changes, what sort of expectations about my future services will I have? Are you just automatically just going to start doing it without telling me? Will you at least give me a notice? Like, this is what we're going to have some sort of policy change. And are you going to embed it deep down inside your terms and your policies, or are you going to make? I think this is something big enough where like a news announcement would be more appropriate if they're going to make those types of changes, just to let people know what's going on. I understand that point of view. The other point of view, they are selling a product, selling a service, so ultimately it is buyer beware of what is being provided for you. But it does seem because having these alternatives would at least for at least for like a general public usage of it. Like it's not for businesses. If you pay more, you get more. The internet was sort of founded as I kind of think of it as a public institution in its beginning. I mean, obviously, it's become more privatized in certain aspects, but it's still sort of it is like electricity. It is like water. It is a utility.
Yeah.
It is something that as our society progresses, it's something that people actually rely on for commerce. Or just in general for, some people, well, we don't want to do, I want to see that big face.
Oh, actually, I cut it back over to us. I cut it, oh, here. Yeah. This guy right here.
Send all your requests.
So I was on Reddit this morning, and Redditors are kind of funny. I mean, because they're sort of like I hate to admit this, but I go to 4chan occasionally, right? I've been forever been going to 4chan, right? So anonymous is part of I'm a security guy, so I guess it would be one way to put it. And, like things go on there that you should be aware of.
Right.
And so one of the tricks that they have is if you vote something up on Reddit far enough, if it's a picture, it'll actually become attached to that keyword on Google when you do a Google image search.
Oh, okay.
So there was an effort this morning to elevate a photo of a symbol, the Nazi symbol, the swastika, associated with the FCC, and for a little, I don't know where it's at now, but it was sitting there right next to his picture on Google image search.
Shall I do that?
Yeah, you should search on Google. I mean, and by the way, it's interesting because the swastika is certainly now a symbol in the West of yeah.
Oh, okay, wait.
Yeah, so if you click on images, and scroll down a little bit, it was down there. I figured Google will probably take care of it at some point. They'll probably
there's something on there's Reddit.
There's Reddit, right? Because that got in there, but it was about right in here at some point, and it looks like they probably took care of it.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a symbol of hate, and I don't think that somebody was like, I don't know how I feel about this, but that was about the time that it went from like 2,000 votes to like 16,000 votes in like 20 minutes.
They were lost in it.
And I think it shows how angry people are. They're willing to even click upvote a hate symbol.
Right.
I would note that the swastika is not originally a Nazi symbol. It was from India, the Indian region. It was actually associated with peaceful religions, but it got hijacked.
And it still is just. I mean, as incorporate, but I mean, it's
for us, it's a symbol of evil and hatred, I think, or judgment. It's a symbol of judgment, right? And so we don't want to use it, but I mean, I think that's how strongly people are sort of feeling about this whole, net neutrality thing. It's kind of hard to tell. I mean, I guess the way that I sort of look at it is it's not going to affect me. And the reason it's not going to affect me is because I can go buy some more internet, even though I have limited choices where I am, as you say, right? I still have enough income relatively to what the cost of bandwidth is in the United States.
Right.
I could go get a dedicated line drug in from some ISP if I had to, if I were really fed up with some net neutrality type problem.
Right.
I could go deal with it. So it feels like to me that this is a class issue. It's an issue.
Yeah.
Once again, here we are with a class issue. We're actually segmenting our population, divisiveness, right? By saying, they can do whatever they want with this. They're actually saying, hey, knock yourselves out with your pipes that you're providing to people to this common resource that everybody thinks is the best thing ever.
Right.
You have all these companies trying to compete for people's time, attention. They're actually optimizing algorithms to take your attention away from things that you normally would be doing to try to get you to use their app more. So you're just a number. Yeah. You're just a number to them.
Right.
And when you start treating people like numbers, you start sorting them by the value to you as a company.
Right.
And that's
which is usually has some monetary.
And it becomes a class problem, right? It is at its core discrimination. And I feel like it will fall across racial lines again, right? Just because of the way that things have gone in the past. And so I think that it's probably, if you were to query people, that would be the visceral reaction people would have if they were against it. They wouldn't really understand how they're getting affected.
Right.
Necessarily they have a router and they're dropping your packets. But most people aren't going to understand that. They're going to understand that they don't pay enough and other people do, and they don't have enough money to pay for the stuff that everybody else is getting.
Right.
And then there's a divide between people. And that's really I think it's divisive.
It's divisive.
It is divisive. So I don't know. It's like I don't like rules, but I think these rules were probably good ones. I can it's
like a rule like don't dump oil into a river.
Yeah, which people will do if you don't make a rule.
Yeah, if you don't make a rule.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, we have too many regulations. Well, have you ever seen what we do to places when we don't have any regulations?
Yeah, that's right.
There has to be a rule. I mean, some rules are okay. Mm-hmm. Some rules are okay. I'm not in general. Generally speaking, yes, I can agree with that. No one really likes rules, but
I think it just makes systems complex because the rules are not typically, and I would say, I don't know this with net neutrality, but rules are typically enacted, and then they sort of, the spirit of it may work. I always felt like net neutrality was sort of like the spirit of this thing.
Right.
And I don't even, like I said, I'm not really familiar with the laws on it, but one question would be, did anybody ever get prosecuted or a company get prosecuted for breaking net neutrality rules? Or was it just guidelines?
Right.
And if they are just guidelines, then why are we rolling them back? If they were just intended to be, these guidelines.
Right.
We have these rules in place for foreign entities. So if you work for a foreign entity, you're supposed to fill out those forms, and everybody's getting in trouble.
They're just guidelines.
Yeah. Well, so that is sort of true.
Yeah.
Because people, since before Flynn was like Flynn and his, sidekick was brought up on charges, like the people, no one had been prosecuted for that particular violation for 50 years or so. It was so a very large amount of time.
Yeah, follow the.
Yeah, there's a law that says don't do this, and people don't do it. So we
don't murder anyone. People don't murder.
we have to say that these guys are like rolling this back because the assumption is that somebody wants something.
Right.
Somebody wants to control the internet.
Right.
And they want to control it in a way they want to control it via the pipes.
Right.
A lot of the media companies are also ISPs. So Time Warner, for example, owns a lot of pipe.
And aren't they trying to be bought by AT&T?
Right.
Yeah.
Which is currently, I think, being blocked.
Yeah.
Because So I think a lot of politics are running under the hood here.
Right.
And that's what I remain concerned with is like, why is this being done? Is it something that is it something that's systemic?
Right.
Is this like a targeted effort to sort of attack our democracy, right? And one way to do it is to affect the quality of the pipe.
The pipe of the internet.
Right.
Yeah.
And that would be my concern. And I suppose if it happens, then whatever, we're going to set up onion gateways and things like that to be able to work around it. Maybe.
Right.
Maybe we can, like in a neighborhood, people are fed up with it. They can just like chain all their internets together and figure out how to, work around the problem. Right. It seems like maybe a technical solution could be built for this, perhaps. Right. And so maybe that's the way we end up doing it.
Which is most likely what will happen.
Yep. Okay. So that was good. It's an interesting topic. It's very important. But so what are we going to do today?
Well, we're going to try to we're going to index some Best Buy data
and you're going to make an API call, I suppose.
And we're going to make an API call.
Make API calls. We've tried to do this several times, and so I guess the first thing we need to do is probably I need to get you a URL, right? So you're going to go ahead and set up. So you're going to go through. Maybe you can talk us through what you're doing. And we've started this instance with our script that we normally do. So we're running on Google Cloud. Remember, Google Cloud's got $300 credit for new subscribers. So if you sign up for Google Cloud, you get $300 credit. You can start whatever size instances you want. And this particular instance of Fusion is 312 that you would start. That is in our GitHub repo, which you will find down in the description of the video. And if you use this script to start it on Google, then it'll start up a 8-core, 30 gigabyte of RAM machine. And that's what Michael's logged in here. And then you're going to go ahead and index the log. And now, so you have this Best Buy data as JSON.
I do.
So as it's indexing it, like whenever you load data like that, when you're not crawling a website, but you're just uploading it, is it still going to make the calls out via REST?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So
what I'm going to do is I'm going to hop over and hopefully we'll continue seeing you here while I do this other thing. But I'm sorry, that was me. I have control of your screen. Yeah. And let me see if I can make sure that this bottle instance is running. Just a second here.
So
it is, and I'm going to give you the IP address of this via Slack. Well, let's see. I don't want to have to make you get in Slack, right? Oh yeah, you can go to the Getter instance. So we have a Kubernetes container that is running a very simple Python web server, and what this URL does is, I think that's port 8080. Port 8080. Yeah, 8080.
Oh, am I going to have to...
Yeah. And you should be able to paste that in. And then type /API, I think is what you want. Yeah, /API. Yep. And then I think you have to put another slash. Yep.
Now, I will need to put this.
Did it?
It's still.
Is it still loading?
Yeah. It's saying waiting for.
That's not good. Yeah, well, it was working when I tested it last time.
So, okay. Well, I can at least create the collection.
Yep.
Well,
yeah, so, you go ahead and you can talk to all that.
Okay, so I'm going to first just start by creating a new collection for the Best Buy data. Pretty simple here. That's fine. And we'll put it in the default cluster. We'll just have this replication factor of 1, not 11, and not -1. And the number of shards, we'll just say 2, just to have it. The rest of stuff, the rest of this, this is going to be a brand new collection, so we're not going to associate it with any other specific config sets or any collection name. And save. Now this will create the main collection in Fusion, and as you can see, it's doing some other things as it goes along. You'll soon see this arrow pop up and creates the logs collection. That's where your search logs will be indexed, the Best Buy signals and signals aggregation. The signals we will not be utilizing, I don't think today, but for instance, if your UI can send a click data to Fusion, this is where the collection will be kept in order to use that for potentially user recommendation.
And the signal aggregation stuff.
And signals and signal aggregation.
So I can search those just like I can anything else. Like the logs would be just time series logs. And,
right.
Oh, interesting.
All of these are solar, ultimately solar collections.
Did you create all of those collections just now? Or
these are, when you do it through the UI, it automatically creates these sidecar collections, and it does it in a way where you will see it appended in a way like this, like it's directly associated with that, with this collection. If I tried to create another collection called Best Buy, like if I wanted a collection called Best Buy Sidecar, I shouldn't do it through the UI. I should do it through the API, because then I could go ahead and then again associate that.
Oh, it'll be so it's like nested underneath.
Yeah,
a sidecar is nested underneath it.
Yeah,
okay.
And it's just a way to keep collections in a visual sort of framework. For
gotcha.
the user.
Okay. And you're in the collections manager.
I am the collections manager. If you didn't see that, I got it from the DevOps. Then you click on collections, and then here we are. So I'm going to click on here, and this brings us to the sort of the main stage of where we're going to start doing some of the work. Now the thing that I need to do with this, with the JSON data, so I downloaded the JSON data from our demo site, and I just need to upload it onto our Fusion instance. So if I go here, I think I already have it started up. So we have to put this in our Google Drive, the file, or
so you can. Where is the file right now?
It's on my local.
Oh, you can. So you can do that little trick where you run the web server, the Python web server.
Oh, okay.
Can you upload it through the UI?
That's what I was trying to figure out how to do.
Can you do? I mean, but Fusion UI allow you to upload a file into Fusion through the UI? Is that an uploader?
I mean, it'll allow you to do like a blob.
I got you. But you need to put it straight on the server. Then,
yeah,
right?
so I was going to do a file system crawl, but I guess I could do...
oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. Well, let's just go into the shell on the box.
Okay.
So on Google, that's just clicking on the SSH link over there, and then you get that.
I know we did this before.
Yeah. And then what you're going to do on the local box is you're going to do the one-line web server. So it's the -m HTTP server, the Python, and then you're going to run ngrok, right? So the idea is you're going to host the data first through a web server, and then you're going to run ngrok on that guy, right? Or ultimately, you could. I don't know how big the data set is. Oh, it's a 1.9 gigabytes. Yeah, you don't want to check that into GitHub or anything. That's pretty big.
Yeah.
And that's on your laptop.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so do Python -m.
I hope I have it on this guest account.
And then capital HTTP. Yeah, there you go. You remembered it. Did that just come to you? Capital S server.
Oh, server. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's it.
And it would be on port 80.
And then you want to do a Control-Z. Yeah, Control-Z.
Hold on.
Are you in the right direction?
Yeah, that's what I was trying to figure out.
Yeah,
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, you just have to remember the file name. And then Control-Z that. And then BG to throw it into the background. That's the same thing as putting an ampersand on the end of it.
Okay.
So it puts an ampersand on the end of it for you. And then you can do ngrok if you have ngrok installed.
That's not on this.
Do a locate ngrok. I thought you downloaded it. Yeah, you actually don't have your database updated. So just go grab ngrok real quick. It's on ngrok.com. That's just a piece of software that lets you tunnel and download up at the top. Yep, that's the one.
Now, why is it?
And then you can just unzip that and stick it somewhere. I usually stick it in like user S pen or something like that.
Okay, well, let me do it because I don't have permission to do it anymore. Because I'm logged in as a guest.
What? Oh, you can't unzip it?
Not into user S bin.
Oh, yeah. You're just going to do it local. Yeah, just unzip it and you run it locally.
Okay.
Did you kill do you still have your other shell run?
Yeah,
Is that in another window?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, no, actually, it's not.
Yeah, you killed it, didn't you? Same thing. No, it's still running. Yeah, it's in the background. Cool. And then you just do it wherever your ngrok is, probably in downloads, right? Yep.
Okay, there it is. So now we were doing
/ngrok. Yeah. And then HTTP, and then space, and then 80. What was it? 8,000. 8,000.
Was it 8,000?
Yeah, it's 8,000. That's the default for that. Yeah, there you go. And then you can take that. Take the top one, the HTTP one, not the local. Yeah, that one right there. To copy that, and then you're gonna put that on the scope of the server, Yep. And then you do a curl, and then hit, and then slash, and then the file name.
Okay.
Is this public data? It is public data. I think I asked that last time.
Yes, it is. It is.
Well, maybe we'll put it up then. We'll put it up. We could check it in. I don't know. It's awful big.
So, okay.
Yeah, that's it. There we go.
Ooh.
You should kill that. And then pipe it into something, a redirect, greater than sign.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, I said
like
pipe.
Dev, like,
Yeah. And then,
like that?
oh, no. Just into the file name.
Oh,
Say-
okay.
Best by tar.gz. I think you just like do an output -O or something like that. But this is what I always do.
Dash. Oh, yeah. It's like,
Whatever it is. Like you can do -O. Yeah. You're going to go for like. And then, but I think capital O, I think. I don't know. There it is. Yeah. Woo!
He did it, finally.
And now it's going to take 15 minutes to download it. It says 11 minutes. Well, that's a. We're going to do some other stuff. So I tell you what, while that's going, what we could do is I have this thing working now.
Right.
This crawl thing. So let me cut over to my box. Well, let's see. That's my. I don't know how to actually show this. You know, I think it's in. It's in Streams. I can do this.
Did you change the password too?
I didn't, but that's for querying. So I'll show you the code here, and I'll kind of walk you through the code and sort of explain what it does here. So I'm gonna open this up a little bit. So we have this bottle image. Now this is a Docker image. This is built and what it does is it takes, this is checked into GitHub, and so every time I do a commit, we do a commit to the Streams repo, no matter what, for whatever reason. This is because the way Docker Hub works.
Right.
Docker Hub goes into this directory, which is images bottle, and it pulls out the Docker file and all the files that are in here, and then it builds a new Docker image, and then it puts it on Docker Hub for us, and replaces and leaves the old one in place. So there's versions of being built over time.
Right.
And then what ends up happening here is that we end up with this file that is then loaded by this bottle YAML file. Then this is Kubernetes. This is a Kubernetes configuration file. Basically, what it says up here at the top is that it's going to run on port 8080 on TCP. It's going to name the app, which is Bottle Service, and Bottle is the application. And then this is the definition for the application. And this is a deployment, which is just a straight up regular, just launches a container on Kubernetes.
Sure.
And then connects the port 8080 to TCP, opens that up internally on the cluster so that you can then map the service port to that port.
Okay.
So the way that it works is it just basically opens up a connection internal into the box, and then you have this little Python script running in a container that then takes the data. That's it. Okay. And so then what I did is I've given you, I think in the Gitter channel, I gave you the URL, which is this 35.192.191.226. Yep, and if you do a refresh on that, it should work. Yeah, see, it's working. It had to spool. Sometimes it'll put the container to sleep, so it just spool up a container. So I think that's what it was doing to you earlier.
Okay.
And in this particular case, what you're going to do is, if we look at the actual code behind this, which is in the main.py file, this is a very simple Python web server. Is that what it's actually doing in the API / the API. So we've got, this is a little bit outdated, but we have an API method, and what it does is it'll actually log out what you're querying me, and it's called API/crawl. So if you'll use that URL I gave you, and then put on the end of it crawl, and then slash, and then hit enter. Yeah, no, it's not. No, try not putting a slash on the end of it. Yeah, like that. Method not allowed, and you have to do a post to it. So which the server will do. So use the without the slash on the end of it, I think. Yeah, so that's your URL that you're going to give to. That's the URL you're going to give to Fusion. And I'm saying all that, but people can't see that, so I'm going to cut over to you. So that's your URL to do a query, and that will actually connect to the container that's running on my Kubernetes cluster. This one right here. And what it'll do is it's just going to log whatever you send me.
Okay.
And I think we've done this once before, but I think that was the last episode that we did this in. So this can be used to basically, as you're indexing something, and again, we probably have 7 or 8 minutes left on this, is that what you could do is maybe crawl our website, Lucidworks website, in your Fusion instance, and use this URL for the webhook to call out, just to show how this works.
All right. I'm just going to use this. Actually, you know what? I'll keep it clean.
Yeah, there you go.
And we're going to do a web.
I should note here that we're doing this because we're going to be putting together a project that we're going to be doing in subsequent episodes, and this first stage of it, which is getting in and configuring Fusion to be able to make a call to a external piece of software that allows you to send whatever Fusion is collecting as it's crawling, so pre-index time, and then the indexer will then take the data that the API call, if the API call returns anything with this information. In this case, it's not going to return anything. It's just going to make the call out to an external API with the document content. And then later on, we're going to get a little bit fancier with this and actually return some data and store that information in the index with this document. So this is why we're doing this.
Yes?
Mm-hmm. Call method post. Yep. And I think what we could do is just call it with the title. So the query parameters are just going to be the title, I think.
Oh, okay.
It'll do that automatically, right?
No.
It's going to send all of the data with it. That's what it did last time, right?
No, we told it a specific.
Oh yes. That's so right.
What's the parameter for sending a query to?
Oh yeah, so it doesn't matter. I'm logging all JSON posts, so you can just call this whatever. So you can just call this title, and then in the property value, it's the format that we use for the value of the title. So it was like, is it curly brace, $?
It's $, and then like it'll be whatever we say the title's gonna be.
That's it. That's the format right there.
Yeah. Okay. And before request, how do we add debug? Yeah, let's do that.
And I remember last time that we did this successfully, you added a logging stage, I think, as well.
Okay, so I did. Let me think about this for a second. Okay, so this is post. Okay.
Yes, post index.
And it's returning
pre-index.
It's returning some sort of JSON or something, right?
It's not going to return anything. I think it. Let me look and see what it returns. I don't think it.
You wanted to capture something, right?
Yeah, I'm just returning response OK. That's it. I don't want you really to do anything with it. I think last time we did something with it.
Right.
Here, I'm just going to show that it's actually sending us data.
Okay.
Really, that's all we're doing here. I'm not going to be returning any data to you.
Okay.
So you don't need to do anything with the response.
You just want to see it.
I think we did get that working at some point.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do here, just to sort of kind of frame this a little bit, is that we're going to crawl a website at some point in the future. We're going to crawl a website. It's going to pick up that document, that page. It's going to call this external API. Right? And the API, what it's going to do is it's going to extract all the images out of that page. So we're going to look for larger images that occur on the page, and we're going to that kind of are clustered.
Right.
So we're working on that particular approach to that right now. And we're going to pull out those images, and then we're going to send them to Google for analysis and to see what's in the image. And then we're going to take those results and jam them back into the index.
Right.
We're not going to do any of that today because that's a lot of work.
So what I'm trying to do is, I don't want to do any field mapping, but I think I do want to call this, I'm going to remove this for a second. I do want to call, instead of title, it's going to be name. So if you can see my screen, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is a document that we're going to be indexing here, and there's no title, but there is the name of the particular product.
Oh, I see.
So I'm going to use name.
Yeah. Oh, you have an image though, don't you? You have it says image right there, right? Yeah. Send me the image then instead. I'd rather have the image because it's a little bit of work. Oh, perfect. Okay.
Okay. So I just need to, I'm going to test this once this is done. It's done. Okay. Okay. So, and where's my directory? And
transfer closed with remaining to read. I didn't finish.
Oh.
I think you can do like a resume or something. I don't remember how to do that. You got most of the way through. It's probably got most of the data. Your tar file will be actually okay. So I just unzip it. Uh-oh. No. Well, that's now the file's not there anymore. Probably. I started over again.
Why did it?
You had the file for half a second. That's okay. It's okay. Let's end. Well,
we're gonna try to do this. Okay. So for the Lucidworks stuff, then it is going to be title. We're gonna test this, and by the time we finish getting all of the complications out, when we index the JSON,
the other one, yeah.
So I'm gonna say title again.
Maybe.
Title. And then, okay, let me expand this out so you can see it a little bit better. And then save. And then I'm going to start it. Okay, it says it's running. Look at the job history log stuff. Okay, so it's indexing something. Output 27. I only told it 30, so it should be stopping pretty soon.
And you think it should be calling me?
That's what you think it should be doing.
You think it should be?
How can you tell?
We're going to go look at the logs.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's watching you right now, so the stream is still on you.
Okay.
Just FYI.
So what I was going to do is,
obviously, whenever the way things work is whenever I'm streaming, and then I get into my browser, and it just sort of sits there. It doesn't really it's sort of busy doing streaming us as opposed to. I think it's the 2cam thing. Honestly.
It's obviously indexing something, so. Oh, look. So it also gives me the RPC call stuff so The payload was null. Payload was
yeah, payload's null.
Status is 200.
Oh
okay.
no, yeah, status is 200.
Response is okay, so it is making the call. So I can tell just by what it indexed.
Cool.
So theoretically, I could.
Maybe you should pull up the logs. I'm just horribly slow here.
It's okay. You want to see the logs?
Well, maybe.
So what? So what I did is, so Fusion indexes the various logs that from each of the modules. So if you click on the analytics screen, it'll bring you to your Fusion logs. And I'm just going to say in the last 15 minutes we can. So each of these panels does different things. Obviously, this is a filter on time based on when it was indexed. This is the actual filters that you've been applying. So I've only applied like a time filter. This tells you this gives you like the number of the count of log messages during a specific time. So you can see we're having a lot of stuff going on here. Log levels, like how many info warning errors. The hosts that are running, we only have one. The ports, and obviously the log messages. So if I do recent search, this is starting job. That's a signals thing. This is an aggregation. I'm trying to find. Let me go back to 5 minutes. How about that?
Do you think this little spike right here was that us crawling?
12, 21, 23. I would say that's probably us crawling.
Yep.
Here's one. It got a response back of okay for a particular. So this is the RPC stage, that REST stage that we implemented, and it just gives basically the response. Here, content type response okay, RPC response okay. Okay, here's the call itself. And my assumption is you still got my mouse.
I do? Did I grab your mouse? I'm sorry.
Okay, so we know we're making the call.
Yep.
I mean, I could take that a step further if you wanted.
No, I think that's fine. I mean, I think we know we're making the call out because we're getting the response back from the server. I don't know why, but the Google is acting really weird coming back on the web, which I don't. We're still watching you, so
all right.
I was just going to try to pull up the logs of this instance. Let's see here. Need a backend service? No. Google Container Engine instance group. I actually don't know how to get the. Let's see here. Maybe I can just search for the port. I think it's 8080. Oh, it's so slow.
So, I mean, if we were going to capture that, I'm just trying to get the XPath. So I believe it's like //response/response. And then I put it into a target field called response_s. It's already done anyway because I only told it to do 7 documents. But what I could do is hopefully, let's see what happens this time if I clear the data source and then rerun this again. How many errors will output 21? It's almost done. Okay, so 20. So we should start seeing things. I'm just trying to see if. So a good way to check would be so. How can I quickly tell if a field's been populated? Well, see if it even exists or value exists. So the field was response underscore s, and if I say star, so give me everything where response underscore s is not null.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, nice. 29 fields. So I should see a response in here.
Was this the response I made?
This is I actually captured the response.
Oh, I see. And
so
there it is. Okay. And that's what it's returning on every single one of them. Okay.
Yeah. So this is
awesome.
So this sort of just brings this back full circle. So once we get when we do this for the Best Buy data, we can take the image and get the same sort of thing back.
And if I could pull up logs and it wasn't just spinning like I don't know why it's not like for some I think it's because I'm streaming and I don't know. So I think it's just overworked or something my computer. But if I could look at the logs on there, I would see you calling me with the field, the image, and I would see all those images coming through. Let's see here. I know Google added a thing where I can look at the logs of a particular container. Let me see if I can pull that up real quick.
I want to pull down this.
Did you get? How's your download doing?
2 minutes. A little less than 2 minutes.
Do you think it's going to stop in the same place?
If it does, then I'm not going to do what I did last time.
You can untar it. Yeah, you can totally untar it. Though.
Just go ahead and untar it. I don't care if it's...
Okay, well, I see that you... I'm going to switch over to me real quick.
Okay.
I think I'm sort of working. Sort of. Okay, so you can see that... well, the memory went up by quite a bit. So it looks like I ended up chewing up a bunch of memory for some reason. And disk. So I must be, wow, that's a half a gig of disk already. I don't understand how that's possible. Something must be horribly wrong, or it's logging a bunch. So then I've got, I should be able to pull up the logs of this, I think, from here. I know they've changed it around a little bit. Typically what you can do is you can do I have to figure out, but you can do a kube control logs, I think, and then you can do the container, which should be bottle, but my computer is so hideously slow, I'm not sure. I hate to click on anything here. You might be able to try it in your Google shell, maybe. I could walk you through that.
It just, okay.
Did you finish?
Closed with some amount of ice names. I'm not going to do...
It's interesting. It must be some ngrok thing.
Okay.
Or probably a Python thing, but you can just unzip it. It'll be fine.
Yeah. Best Buy. GZIP, actually not a GZIP format.
Here's the data. So you can see where you're passing in. This is, what is today? Is it 21st? Yeah, there's 21st. So you're passing in title equals our global partner ecosystem, Lucidworks. There you go. So it's working. There you go. There, so there's all those requests you made. And you can see it's flipping back and forth using a couple of different containers. I actually have 2 containers running or 2 pods running in this container. So all right, so I'm going to cut back over to you. So we verified that that's working.
All right, and as you can see, I have my Best Buy data JSON, and I have a bunch of files in there. Maybe not all of them, but I have a bunch. Okay, so
do you still have the external call set up in the Best Buy pipeline?
No, I need that. What am I got? Who am I calling?
You would be calling the API again with the.
Okay, so it's the same.
Yeah,
it's the same thing.
Exactly.
Okay, so that's what I was actually going to do is just go ahead and quickly recreate this pipeline for Best Buy, and then I'm going to say REST query, and it's essentially going to be I just want to create a different pipeline for this because I'm going to match it over. I'm going to do some other stuff to it. So it's this, right?
It's that one, yep.
Post this. And this time we're going to say
Image.
And then I'm going to
So it's $, curly brace. Is it
And
quoted inside or not?
No, it's
not
not
quoted.
quoted.
Okay, all right.
And it's going to return a response of OK again, right?
It's the same thing. Response. Yeah, it does the response. And that's how you're pulling it back. That's what's actually getting jammed in the index.
Right.
So these, even though these are documents on the drive, the individual files, it's still calling with that file, just like it was crawling. So in one case we were crawling, in this case we're picking it up off the hard drive.
Right. So for this, I'm going to create a new data source. I went to the Best Buy collection and then clicked on data sources. And this is going to be a local file system.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to say, and yes, I'm going to open up this just so you have it for your use. And the parser. So I don't want to use the default parser.
Really? So because it's a different type of document?
Yeah. So, I mean, I just like to create things for a specific use case. So it's not going to be archived, it's not going to be that.
So it could be all of these.
It could be all of these, but it's going to be JSON.
Okay.
And what I want to do here is to configure
I mean, so one of the things that I've noted whenever you use something, there's several other competing services out there that are hosted. So there's these hosted search services. I'll give you an example. Would be one would be Elasticsearch, right? Elastic.com, right? That's what they expect. Is they expect you to upload them a JSON file, right? They don't have a crawler that really goes out and crawls, so you have to send them the data.
You have to send the normalized the munch data.
And that's what we're providing here is this UI, and not only the UI, but the code behind either crawling and scheduling the crawler,
right?
Or in this case, just picking it up off the hard drive like Splunk would do.
Yeah.
Right?
So exactly.
We actually monitor these files, is that correct? The instance, the Fusion instance is watching this directory, and you can do it one shot or you can watch a directory. We can,
so what we can do is we can turn on the scheduler, and so the first time the connector crawls the file, that particular directory structure, it'll keep a signature of when the file was last updated, and the signature of the file of itself. So every time we recrawl, it'll check to see if that file we had that, has it been updated? No, okay, next. This is new, let's index. Oh, this has been modified, let's index that. So once you first start crawling, after that first crawl, the incremental will just pick up just the new or modified stuff.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I could literally have a directory that is monitored. Fusion is monitoring.
Yeah, and you can set a schedule for like every hour or something.
That's awesome. Yeah, love it.
Okay, so no, I don't want this. This is nothing. So the root path I'm going to set to / and I'm just going to say / star, star. And I'm going to leave that as...
You're setting up some mapping rules.
Yeah, I'm setting up mapping rules. And I'm actually getting them from here. You're like, where? It's one of these. I'm just looking at the parser, so the mapping rules. So yeah, so I'm good. So basically, I'm just telling it to split on the root, and then everything else for each of those documents under the root. Just take everything and map it to
itself. Yeah. Okay.
So if
this is a data set that we use, I guess, frequently for illustrating, like an online shopping cart search, things like that. Right?
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So that is it. I'm gonna save this. Oh. But you didn't give a target. I'm just kind of going off of. Oh, source field, and it didn't ask me for a source field either. Let's. Okay. Let me try this. I'm basically saying it map it to whatever comes out. Hopefully that works. I'm going to eliminate that for a second because we don't need it. And I need to finish configuring the data source. So what I was doing is I just filled out some of the default stuff. It's going to be the path. And that path, since it's a local file system, is here. But just for a second, I'm going to try something just to make sure, just to test so we don't have to call everything. Victor, and then small.
Make that a little bit bigger.
Oh, okay.
Was it command?
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah, maybe like unzoom that, like because you're clipping at the bottom of the.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. They're just trying to make it harder on you. View. I think go to view at the top. And exit full screen.
Why is it just?
And now do this. So this. There we go.
Okay. There you go.
Yeah, now you can see it.
Should I expand it? Or
no, we're in 4K, baby.
Oh, okay, so let's buy. I'm gonna do this one. So I'm just taking one particular file and putting it.
I got you. So you're just gonna crawl one.
Yeah.
Or index one, right?
Yeah.
How many? These are each of these is a document, right?
Each of these is a series of documents, so it may be like 20 or 100 or something.
So they've got an array in there.
So if I put this, and then I just say save, and then we're going to crawl it.
Got your fingers?
I do. Okay.
Running?
As long as okay, good. At least I'm seeing I'm seeing 700 output.
Would you click on to get this job history?
So while it's running, I just click
job history.
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
Which is sort of like a little bit like logging. Yeah. Oh, it says success.
Success.
Mine always say failure. Did it earlier. It said failure. It's trying to.
So I'm going to do this again. Okay, that's it. So it did it. It worked. Obviously it worked because we got the content index.
Oh, nice. So for that was a little test.
That was a little test.
Right on.
And I got, where's response? Oh, there it is, right there.
I see all the posts that you're sending me. So I've definitely got those going on. Let's see here. So yeah, there's the posts that you just sent me. So I've got the image, so that I can go grab this. And you think these images are good, huh?
Let's take a look. So here's the image.
Is this all on BestBuy.com?
I'm assuming so,
Yeah.
but who knows how.
Yeah.
There, look, there it is. Return.
There we go.
One random. Return.
Oh. Is this gonna work? Oh, this I have a huge boo-boo in my URL here. Hold on. We're sorry, something went wrong. Yeah, that would be.
So maybe
that would be me.
Yeah.
There we go. Image coming soon.
Let
me show yours. Okay, so.
So I got the image from here, from
Yeah.
the image field,
Yeah.
and then there it is.
There it is. Okay, so that's yeah. So that's kind of small. It's a small image.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Will it be able to?
It doesn't care. I mean, it's gonna look at that and it's gonna say this is whatever. I don't know if I can. I hate that my computer is running so slow, but I could try to. Maybe you can talk us through while I'm fiddling with this. You can talk us through kind of like what can you do with this now that you've got all this data in there, right?
So now, I mean, well, let's see. Now that we got the data in, I wonder what sort of things that we want to start looking at when we're doing. I mean, let's see. We can start creating facets on particular things like genre. That's a field.
So when you say we're going to create a facet, we can create that on some of the fields that are in the.
They're all based on the fields that we've indexed, and there should be usually there's string fields or date fields or numeric fields. I may go in and re-index this again just to get some different. I'm going to sort this on count. Actually, I'm going to sort this on count. Yeah. No, I'm going to sort it on index, so it'll come out alphabetically. So what I did is when you create a data source, you automatically get a query and index pipeline, and it's usually the data source name dash default. What comes along with that in Fusion 3.1 is you get a boost with signals stage. We don't have any signals, so it doesn't right now, so it doesn't really make sense. So I am going to remove that. Then we have the query field stage, and this essentially just tells us it uses the eDiskMax parser, so you can define various things such as the fields you want to search on, like maybe genre, and I can add a boosting factor to it. I can say name.
These are all CDs. This entire data set is CDs,
no,
or is this like all their stuff?
It's product.
Oh, okay, right on. And this is all public data.
Right.
Yeah, this is all public data. Yeah, this is a public data set.
And I'll leave that for now. We can also so right now we're returning all fields plus the score. We could just say we want name and we want order. It's important. Name and genre. Okay, and I'll put score back there too. And if I hit apply, hitting apply does nothing but affect the query workbench. If I come here now, we see instead of all those other fields, we have just name and genre. If I want to actually save this to the query pipeline, like, hey, I like what I just did, you say save. And then it'll automatically go to the pipeline that you're working on and just say save again. So now it's actually saved. So if I quit the query workbench and then I come back to it, it's automatically there. I added a facet here in the facet stage, and it creates that facet. And it's going by the alphabetical order.
Whoa! So you've got all the genres in there now.
Yeah.
That's been extracted.
For that particular file, which is only 1,000. It looks like it's 1,000 some documents per JSON.
Right. So this would be fully populated with it.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Now, so faceting works on just correlating all of the pages and then kind of saying all of these pages have, British folk rock genre, right? Interesting. I love facets because they kind of give you a way to pivot on the data.
Oh yeah. Actually, so one thing that I'm going to show everyone a little trick in the UI. Like if you want to see this, and ultimately it could be implemented in your own UI if you want to do it. So everyone wants to know, like, oh well, how do you? So if you go into like some e-commerce sites or other sites like that, and you have all of these, you have these navigators, like you go on Zappos or something, and you start clicking on a navigation point. All the others are gone now, so you don't really preserve that history of your original query, and you don't get to see anything else. You actually have to clear the filter out. Well, from here, you can do. It's basically tagging the facet. So in order to preserve the particular facet's structure and the counts, so multi-select faceting basically.
Okay.
So I'm gonna tag it, and the tag is ex, and it's gonna equal a name. The ex is the protocol that you have to use, but the actual name, I'm just going to call it GN for genre. I could name it anything I want. I could name it cat.
So there's a bang in front of that EX, so I assume that says this is a command.
Yes. Okay. The bracket is it's sort of like a function.
Okay.
One thing with the Fusion Query Workbench is that it knows how to interpret this and do some other things in the background. And what it's going to produce is these little checkboxes.
Oh,
so
nice.
This is obviously something that we've done in the background.
Yeah.
But behind the scenes is, because we know that we're using this, it creates these checkboxes. In your UI, what you would do is, you're going to have checkboxes in your UI. So on each thing that you bring back, you're going to add a checkbox. And part of that is in the request. So when you click on one of these items, or you check it, I think it just checks it automatically. You notice now nothing's changing.
Yeah,
the numbers
I still
are all
have
the same,
all
and
the
you still have your
facets.
full.
Yeah.
So that means that I can now start clicking on other ones and
cool.
not have to worry about it refreshing.
Cool.
So what happens in the background is...
This is like the search on LinkedIn, for example, does this when you just select like company and name and title or whatever. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
So if I go in the back end and so I clicked on and I'm going to look at the search logs now under Best Buy. So I'm going to go to Search Analytics, and then it's out. Search Analytics. Maybe someone didn't see that. Now I got to see it again. And then it's always the _logs directory, and so this is going to be Best Buy logs.
Yep, there we go from that collection. Yep.
Then I'm going to look down here, and this is probably the one that I was looking at. I'm looking for... This is going to give me all the query parameters that I was using. I don't know if it may not be capturing that piece.
Mystery navigation with Mac.
Yeah.
Happens to me all the time. Like, what happened?
No, Mac, no.
Or it's Chrome or something, and it's like all of a sudden you're somewhere else, and you're like, what happened?
Okay. So I'm looking for a particular filter query because the filter query, when I clicked on that,
I see.
It could create it. That's basically what it is. It's a filter on that, on this. Where was that, sir? I just got out of everything, didn't I?
Uh-huh.
It's basically taking the star colon star query. Whoa. What happened? I didn't say that.
You didn't. It is bang EX equals GNC. I remembered it for now. I'll remember it later.
Let me just save this.
Yeah, it fussed at you. It said, "You sure you don't want to save this?" And then you said, "Nope."
Nope. Get out of here. So, if I say CD, okay. If I don't say CD, how about that?
Yeah. So, say Algerian. No.
What is going on? Doesn't like it.
There is ALG. ALGERIAN.
What's oh. Okay. I'm not gonna tell it. I'm gonna let it search on me.
There we go.
So it returned 1. So if I go back to here and I click on this, there's Algerian.
There we go. Oh, nice. So you can actually get back a graph of what people are clicking on. Yeah, nice. So you can see the responses of people. And I suppose you could graph signals and stuff in there too, right?
Yeah.
Very cool.
That's exactly,
very cool.
Yes.
Very cool. So you can actually do some analytics on what's going on and understand what people are doing with the search and how they're using the facets.
Exactly. So now, okay, powerful. So I'm going to do, I wanted to pick a particular word so I could see. So it's submitting like a couple of things, it looks like. So, why? This said 0 results, but I know I got 2 back. So facet field. There it is. Here we go. So it took me long enough. So I clicked on pop, and you can see what is returned. Like this is the facet query that was actually submitted.
Oh, and
it's tagged. So
it's tagged.
That's the key. So when you're sending the filter query, you're saying look for the tag. Look, you're preserving all of the function GN, what is that response, which is actually the facet, and then you just pass on genre colon pop because that's what you want to actually filter on. You're just filtering the result. You're not filtering the facet.
I see. So you're sort of borrowing the facet structure, but then you're passing it to the tags.
Exactly.
That's
just ignore everything out.
Yeah,
so
cool.
What I could do, what I could then do is I could add another field if I could add another facet if I knew one. Oh, because it's the return field. Just let me know. I don't want to hijack.
No, we're good. We're a little long. We're at hour 20. So, but if you've got something else, go for it. I mean.
No, I can add more field. I was just going to say I could add more facets to this, and then it doesn't like this. Okay, it likes to score here. If I do that, API error.
Good job.
Good job.
400.
What did you do? Okay.
At least you can use your computer.
Oh, that's why. I know why.
My computer is just melting. It's doing a good job streaming them, I think.
Okay. Now. There we go. So if I say, I could say category names. I think I can. Oh, well, shoot the facet. Okay, let's see. What am I trying to do?
Ah.
Okay, so really? Okay, so
Yeah,
fine, so
yeah,
fine,
yeah.
so fine.
Yeah, yeah. It's just another set of you
Yeah.
have another set of facets there, right?
Yeah. So, but notice I don't have any. I don't have the. I don't have the check marks.
Right, right.
Next to it. So,
but then if you go into one of those,
yeah.
so go into alternative, for example. I'm sorry, I'm hijacking it. But then you still have the stuff at the top, right?
No, that's the key. So
I mean, you still have. But we're fasting on the same thing.
Right.
That'd be the key here. But you could potentially fast it on. You could have that fasted collection passed on.
Right. So there's a little bit of art, not art, but there's a little bit of technique to how you want to do it. So obviously you can see here, I don't have any tagging on this, and what ends up happening is it does filter out just to it filters the other facet.
Yeah, because it's same, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I could have said Arabic, and it would have done something like that. But it's going by category.
Yeah, just because you're using
right. Yeah. If I say if I label it the same, then what happens? Okay, so I click out of that. I hit apply. Now you notice, because they're both tagged with the same name, nothing happens.
Yeah.
When I click it.
Yeah.
But
if you were to change that to something else,
I could give exactly. I could give each facet a different tag, and then when I hit apply, so now when I start filtering on this, then this filters.
Gotcha.
When I filter on this. Well, that's fine.
Yeah. But I mean, the idea there would be that as you sort of move into a smaller collection, you can extract fields out of that that are different. Like you're filtering on the collection by some hierarchy. Right. But if you were to here, we're using the same field.
Yeah.
But we could reach into other fields and show other facets. Yeah. So you could have multiple facets based on. You could drill into parts of them.
Right.
And keep other ones open and flat.
Open. So like if you're buying shoes and you filter on color and then size and then brand, but you still want to see you still want to see the other colors, and you still want to see the other size, because I wear between a 10 and a 10 and a half, and sometimes if I don't see it in the 10 and a half, then I'll go down to the 10. Right. So, but I still want to see that in my preview. So I want to click on both, but then I also want to see red, black, blue, and gold as well. And Adidas and Nike and Cole Haan.
That's cool, man. Well, I one more thing here. I've got this picture up. I don't know what it is. I just sort of picked it at random.
Okay.
So it looks like a dragon with some guy shooting flames it.
Yeah.
So it's a product that Best Buy sold at some point in time in the far past. And what's interesting here is I asked an AI what this was, and they said it was, here's what it is. It's Christmas. A postcard, desktop, old paper symbol, nature, food, water, illustration, panoramic, art, desktop. That's what it thinks all that is. So I ran that through Clarify's AI, and that's what I thought. So I mean, still it's not exactly it's not telling it's a dragon, but I mean the AI would have to be pretty good to figure out.
Okay, I guess dragon, that could be a Christmas tree. It's a really
Christmas. It's Christmas is coming.
Yeah.
Christmas is coming. So it's like winter is coming.
So maybe as we wrap it up, maybe we can talk about what you're planning. Like, what are we like? We can send out this webhook to and get this information about an image, and then we could take that information and index it as part of the content for that particular document. Yeah.
So the whole idea is that we have that we would have like facets. We have this. We sort of have this general situation that sometimes you have data like what you see here with the Best Buy data. We have somebody's gone through the trouble of identifying that this page, which is selling this product, and we're really talking about a shopping cart type use case here. So online retail is search for online retail use case here. Is that sometimes the people that are selling the things know this particular facet. And we say a facet, but like, for example, a facet would be genre of a CD.
Right.
So we know that there's these genres, and we want to show people a genre. Another example would be, for example, size of a shoe. Would be there's different facets on the different sizes. Well, sometimes you don't actually have that information pre-extracted from the page. So there are some techniques for doing some machine learning to extract some sort of, like, what the hell is this page talking about out of it, and using that information to like mark up the page a little bit more and provide facets that didn't exist already in the data.
Right.
So I guess it's another way to categorize the data. It's giving the data another dimensionality.
Yeah, based on the imagery that you get.
Excuse me. Right. So the general idea would be to start extracting as a course of. This would not be something. This is something the product really already supports.
Right.
Because we do support Spark jobs.
Right.
So I'm sure there's probably a Spark job out there somewhere. If not, we can integrate TensorFlow, for example, with the product as well. So TensorFlow can be trained to identify items across a collection. So the idea here would be to get some sort of machine learning going that would allow you to send the images that you're finding on these pages to the AI. It categorizes it and passes it back so that you can use it for another dimension for searching on the page itself.
Right.
So we are indexing pages or documents, but sometimes those documents contain other documents which are images, and then we need to index those as well to know more about things. And really, I think the trick here is relevancy. We're really shooting for higher relevancy on these documents. So if we can make the product return more relevant results, people will find more of what they're looking for. They'll be happier, they'll buy more, and our customers will be happy because they're getting a product from us that provides them relevancy for their customers.
Exactly.
Yeah, awesome. So anyway, we'll keep continuing to work on this, but this is the first step, and we've actually managed to pull it off and show, even though we ran a little long. But if you stayed with us to the end, be sure and give us a thumbs up on the video. Hit the subscribe button and click on the little bell at the top to get notifications.
Like us, photos.
Yeah, like us, and at some point we'll go mainstream with this stuff.
Awesome.
But great, it was great sitting down with you. Thank you for showing me all this. I learned a lot from you today.
Nice,
appreciate it.
I learned a lot from you, and I will be learning a lot more from you.
All right, dude. All right.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. See you guys later.